All right, good morning, man. Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Money Market, the TDMM podcast. My name is Che Yusuf. I'm the host of the Daily Money Market. We talk about the forex financial market and what is driving the market at particular time, every single week. So that's what we do. Now, today is the new week. We always bring these videos in the middle of the week, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. Mostly on Mondays, there's not much in terms of volatility. The volatility of the market, they start picking up when it comes to Tuesday. So we want to look in terms of this week and from this midweek going all the way to the end of the week, what is really driving the market at the moment. So the biggest one, the first one that comes this week, it's a US-Iran talks, which is we talked about last week. They had a conversation with the US and Iran, and the conversation is still continuing. They're going to have another conversation this week at the end of this week. That again, it drives the price of the oil. When you look at it from last week, the price of the crude oil jumped to $78 per barrel, while the US oil was sitting, or Brent oil was sitting at $68 per barrel. So it means that the specific oil is actually moving upper in terms of the price, becoming a little bit of more expensive. If the war happened between US-Iran talks, they're not having an agreement, what it means is that we might see the US oil goes all the way, the crude oil goes all the way to $100 to $102 per barrel. So what the news is saying is at the same time, this will be a crucial week for Iran and the Trump deadline. Right, implies the decision will soon be made up on the whether to launch a strike on the country by around March the 1st. Analysis at the Veto Knowledge said in the note. On Thursday, Washington and Tehran will hold another talk around on a nuclear talk in Geneva, according to the Oman, which is the foreign minister of Iran. An increase in the U.S. military presence in the Middle East has already underscored fears over the fresh violence in the region. Trump has called on the Iran to quickly make a deal over its nuclear program and warning the really bad, the way it says, really, really bad thing will happen. So warning that really bad thing might happen. Iran is the key producer within the organization of the petroleum exporting countries, which is OPEC, and holds some of the world's largest proven crude reserve oil price were lower on Monday. So on Mondays the price was a little bit lower because of the negotiation, but Iran is one of the strategic countries. It holds one of the biggest large deposits when it comes to the oil based on OPEC. They're part of the group of OPEC that produce or distribute oil in the entire world. So that's one of the things that we are looking forward to see what is going to happen. Of course, the instrument to pay attention on that, it's US oil, crude oil, as well as Brent crude oil, to see if it's not gonna, once if the war is gonna start from the first, then it might get to $100 per barrel. But the results, we'll see it on Thursday this week. All right. Now, what else that we have to look into this week? This week, again, we're having the U.S. unemployment claim that comes on Thursday. Although it's a general viewed as a large indicator, the number of unemployment people is an important signal of overall economy health, because consumers' spending is highly correlated with the labor market conditions. Unemployment is also a major consideration for those steering the country monetary policy. So U.S. unemployment claim is very important based on U.S. monetary policies, so that the President Jeremy, when he comes with another meeting, he can have a decisions whether to cut the interest rate or to pause or to increase when it comes to interest rate. So U.S. unemployment claim numbers, they're coming this week on Thursday. Again, interesting news. Gold falls from the 3-week high on the profit booking on the fellow dollar. The dollar was actually gaining a little bit of stability. That's where we saw gold to fall. So gold price fall on Tuesday as inventory booked the profit after bullion rose more than 2%. in the previous session, while the pressure from the stronger dollar also weighed on the yellow metal. So spot gold falls to 1% to 5,179 per ounce by 0735 GMT. That was the time on Tuesday, snapping a 4-session winning strike and dropping from a more than a 3-week high hit earlier of the day. The US gold future for applies delivery were down 0.5%, getting to 5,199 per brick of gold into a dollar. So that's the story when it comes to gold. It drops because of the dollar was actually gaining a little bit of momentum from last week coming to this week. So it falls for all gains of 3 weeks gain, goes all the way down. So we're expecting this week maybe a little bit of recovery or it continuously drop based on the US unemployment claim news that has come this week as well. Very, very, very important, when it comes to this gold news. Does drive the financial market to push all the way up. Another news that is coming is the biggest one, the big for magnificent 7. That's a magnificent one, which is Nvidia. Nvidia, they're releasing their earnings this week. This is one of the biggest technology company in the world. When they release their earnings, all the tech stocks that drives the volatility. So the stocks from NAS 100, the US 30 indices, S&P 500, all those assets, they will have much more volatility. So this week it could be a proof the most important of the US earnings season. Not only Nvidia invariably who will be ahead of the company results, the entire global equity market may be at edge given the importance of AI trade, and said Rollins Botha on a global head of the market at CMC Market. The report said to be released after the close of the US market on Wednesday, which is today, comes as the share of so-called Magnificent 7 mega cap. Each player have largely stored so far this year. The cohort has zoomed higher since the launch of the OpenAI and the ChatGPT in 2022. The speaker, the bomb in enthusiasm around AI and a massive surge spending on infrastructure needed to adapt in a cutting-edge model. So there's a big things that is actually happening at particular moment when it comes to the AI. Again, ChatGPT and OpenAI to be one of the biggest players when it comes to the AI. But Magnificent 7, one of them, the biggest one, which is Nvidia, it's releasing the earnings today at the closing bell of US market. So it will be around 10-11 o'clock at South African time by that time. But that's where they're releasing their earnings. So if their earnings is going to surpass the estimation numbers, that's when we're going to see the positivity of the assets that are based on technologies like NASDAQ, NAS 100 to start growing all the way up. So that's the biggest one. Again, another thing that is boosting the Nvidia as one of the big technology companies is by introducing of building of these data centers. So they have so many striking deals with Microsoft, with Apple, so that they can have the bigger capital and start building the entire data centers. These data centers is going to help entire world for distributing of fast internet, technology development, and so on. So these are very important development, and of course the number that they are actually paying more attention, it will be the data center creation numbers and how it comes out in terms of that data center creation. So that's Nvidia coming again this week. Again, our forex financial father Donald Trump actually when the court case that they have in terms of the tariff. So the US 10% tariff has kicked starting from Tuesday, and this is really what is going to drive the market from Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way to the end of Friday. So there will be a lot of global currency growth or declining because of this 10% tariff. So we have to pay attention on that US 10% tariff. It says US President Donald Trump a new global trade tariff went into effect at the 10% level at midnight on Tuesday after Supreme Court ruling struck down on the back of his earlier levies. The 10% level was communicated through the U.S. Custom and Border Protections messaging the service and lower than the 15% tariff to toll by the Trump after Supreme Court ruled last week. Trump had initially declared a universal tariff at 10% in a response to ruling and had the day later raised the levy to 15%. The media report says the White House was now working on raising the levy to the president preferred 15%. So you prefer 15%, but the base that is starting on, it's starting with 10% for entire business that comes to US. So again, that's a big one that will drive the volatility in terms of the news, in terms of the currency pairs from different areas that they're doing business with the United States. The last one, Bitcoin slammed below $63,000, wiped out of 50% of October record high. So Bitcoin fall on Tuesday, extended a recent decline and halving the value from its October record high, as well as uncertain over the US tariff policies weighed on the risk appetite for cryptocurrencies. A broader crypto price also extended recent decline as institute and the retail traders continue to sell down their holdings of cryptocurrency Bitcoin. So that's the story of the cryptocurrency. The big one is Bitcoin down to 63,000, wiped it up over 50% gain that actual gains last year around October. Again, it's because of the 10% tariff that Donald Trump has been proposes, incentive to $1 to say that if the dollar is going to grow or is going to decline. And again, little retail people that are actually, participating in a buying of the cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, but most of them, they are selling the cryptocurrency. So that's the last one when it comes to the global financial news that is driving the financial market this week. A lot, 10% tariff, Bitcoin drops, we go to war, Iran and the US Iran, we look at into gold falls, US unemployment and Nvidia earnings. Those are the top that will drive the volatility. Again, don't forget, if you want to open up an account with Monarch's broker, please, there will be a link on the description. You can click the link, sign up for your own trading account, that you can trade on your own. The minimum deposit, is started with the $15. You can participate in a global financial market with just as little as $15. $15. There's nothing beats like $15. In rands, that's like 230, 250 rand that you can now start participating and investing in this global asset. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Share with other guys. Subscribe, of course. Thank you. We'll catch you on the next video. Bye bye.